Hello, welcome everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, doctor. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Uh, Thank you everybody for being with us for last 4 days. Today is the last day of our conference Yantra 2020. Despite the pandemic and the technical glitches that we have been experiencing, I thank you all of you again for bearing with us and being with us and attending this spectacular conference. Thank you. Hope it is something of remembrance for you all. So today I'll start off with the poster presentation, and this is the last poster presentation slot. Dr. Mariamma Madam, Dr. Gurudev Sir, I can see you all here. Dr. Ramjayam Sir is not there. So I guess we can wait for a couple of minutes for Sir. Shall we, ma'am? Shall we, Sir?
Yes, we can wait.
Yes, we can wait for a minute.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Meanwhile, I would start sharing my screen so that the poster presentation can be started without a delay after Sir joins. Thank you. I can see that Sir has joined. Welcome, Sir. Welcome, Ramjayam Sir.
Yeah.
Namaste. Okay, so ma'am, Ramjayam Sir and Gurudev Sir, with your permission, shall I go ahead?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Thank you so much. Again, Yantra Scientific Committee welcomes you all for the last time during this session. To introduce our judges once more, I'll just briefly tell about the current designation because you're already, all of you are aware of them. Dr. Mariamma Philip ma'am is an associate professor in the Department of Biostats, NIMHANS. Dr. Ramajayam Ji, sir is a scientist C in yogic science in the Center for Consciousness Studies in the Department of Neurophysiology, NIMHANS. And Dr. Gurudev, sir is an assistant professor in the Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga. So now I'll move ahead to the posters. Our first participant is Shubhamoy Ghosh from Bhattacharya Homeopathic Medical College. He will be talking about the study titled Integrative Homeopathy and Yoga in Dyslipidemia, an open randomized pragmatic trial.
Integrated Homeopathy and Yoga in Dyslipidemia, an open randomized pragmatic trial. This trial has been conducted in Mahesh Bhattacharya Homeopathy Medical College and Hospital. Background. Dyslipidemia is a potent risk factor for cardiovascular diseases and complications. Yoga therapy and individualized homeopathy medicine have long been recognized for the value in treating dyslipidemia, but the evidence have remained mostly anecdotal. No study has ever explored their integrative role in dyslipidemia. The objective of this trial was to compare the effects of individualized homeopathy only, yoga therapy only, and integrated with individualized homeopathy and yoga therapy in dyslipidemia. What are the aims? We aim to evaluate the effect of yoga and homeopathy alone or in combination in dyslipidemic patients. Methodology. We conducted an open label randomized 3 parallel arms pragmatic trial on 60 participants suffering from dyslipidemia at our institution. Participants were randomized in 1:1:1 to receive either individualized homeopathy, that is 20, or yoga therapy is 20, or individualized homeopathy and yoga therapy altogether 20. In yoga therapy arm, Anulom Vilom and Kapalbhati Pranayam were given, and in individualized homeopathy. Intention to treat sample was analyzed to detect difference in lipid profiles. Inclusion criteria and exclusion criteria were predefined as per protocol. The ethical clearance was obtained from the institution, and the protocol of the study was registered prospectively in Clinical Trial Registry India. Results in recruitment, retention, and attrition rate were 62.5, 96.7, and 3.3% respectively. Groups were comparable at baseline. Over 3 months of intervention, there was statistically significant intra-group reduction. All 3 groups, triglyceride in individualized homeopathy, individualized homeopathy and yoga therapy groups. High density lipoprotein was not improved any. The group receiving individualized homeopathy and yoga therapy showed but a non-significantly better trend in improvement compared to individualized homeopathy and yoga therapy only. And consort diagram for participants' flow has been described. In conclusion, a small but non-significant direction of effect favoring individualized homeopathy and yoga therapy was observed compared to individualized homeopathy and yoga therapy alone in dyslipidemia, thus rendering the trial is inconclusive and larger trial are warranted.
Our next participant is Adil Hakim from NIMHANS. He'll be talking about development and feasibility testing of a brief yoga module for postgraduate mental health care students in tertiary settings.
I'm Adil Hakim. The e-poster being presented by the title Development and Feasibility Testing of a Brief Yoga Module for Postgraduate Mental Health Care Students in Tertiary Settings was a non-funded pre-doctoral research study undertaken during the year 2019-2020. Background. Mental health care professionals are found to experience mental health problems such as stress, burnout, emotional exhaustion, etc. This suggests a need for a culturally appropriate intervention to support mental health of mental health care students to complete their training successfully. Studies in medical students shows that interventions including yoga, mindfulness, etc. may be effective in decreasing stress and improving general well-being. It is in this context the study aims to develop a brief yoga module for well-being of postgraduate students in tertiary mental health care settings and to test the feasibility of the brief yoga-based module on their well-being. Mixed method approach was adopted with the quasi-experimental pre-post research design. The research consisted of 2 phases. In phase 1 involved the development of and validation of the brief yoga module. A brief yoga module with 13 practices of total 30 minutes duration was deduced and validated by yoga experts. In phase 2, the module was conducted under the supervision of a trained yoga therapist for a duration of 15 days to test the feasibility. Assessments done are the Warwick-Edinburgh Mental Wellbeing Scale on day 0, 15 and 30, and on day 0 and day 15 functional near-infrared spectroscopy was performed to assess mirror neuron activation and executive functioning during respective tasks. Socio-demographic data and qualitative data was collected prior to the program and after completion. Those who attended at least 50% of the sessions, that is a minimum of 8 out of 15 sessions conducted, were considered as adherent, and the remaining were considered to be under the non-adherent group. The results: a total of 28 students participated in the 15-day brief yoga program, out of which 13 were adherent and 15 were non-adherent. There were no socio-demographic differences between the adherents and the non-adherents. The results showed that the students who adhered to the yoga module improved in their well-being scores over a period of 30 days as compared to the non-adherent group. The post-hoc analysis showed that the adherent group had a significant difference in their well-being scores from day 0 to day 15. However, there was no significant difference in well-being scores post-completion of the module, that is day 15 to day 30. The FNRS results indicated that the adherents as compared to the non-adherents showed significant deactivation of the left primary somatosensory region during the static phase and the activation of the right primary somatosensory regions of the brain during the active phase of the mirror neuron activation task. Also, significant improvement was noted in the reaction time for zero moves phase of the STOL task. The qualitative data derived from the interviews brought out a total of 37. The majority of the students rated the brief yoga module as a good and adequate, and all the students recommended the brief yoga module for the rest of the postgraduate mental health care students in the institute. To conclude, significant improvement was observed on the well-being scores of the students who adhered to the brief yoga module. The study also looked at the experiential account and inputs of the students who participated in the module apart from quantitative outcome measures such as well-being, mirror neuron activation, and executive functioning. The feasibility of the brief yoga module ranged from medium to high based on the 8 parameters by Bowen et al. However, adaptability is yet to be tested. And future research needs to focus on integrating such modules as part of the student well-being initiatives for mental health care professionals. Thank you.
Our next participant is Dr. Pratik Varshni from NIMHANS. His study is titled Yoga for Opioid Dependence Syndrome, Rationale and Feasibility Testing.
Respected panel, I am Dr. Pratik Varshne from NIMHANS Bangalore. I will be presenting on yoga for opioid dependence syndrome, its rationale and feasibility testing. Opioid dependence syndrome is a public health concern, and the National Drug Use Survey done in India shows that around 0.26% of the Indian population is addicted to opioids. The current treatment options include opioid substitution therapy, which do not vouchsafe abstinence, and brain changes continue to happen irrespective of its use in addicted clients. Thus, there is a need for a novel technique wherein yoga, which is an important aspect of mind-body medicine, provides an important adjuvant option as hypothesized to help in comorbid depression and anxiety, as well as increasing endogenous opioids. Thus, the need for this study is established with the primary aim to examine the role of yoga as an add-on treatment in ODS and to examine and validate a specifically made yoga module for the same. We recruited 10 inpatients admitted at NIMHANS and examined them after a period of 10 days. The active intervention being 1 hour of supervised yoga. The module included loosening practices, Surya Namaskar, asanas, pranayam, and chanting over a graded manner, and a Wilcoxon sign rank test was done on the clinical assessments. Out of the 12 patients approached for the study, 10 gave informed consent to be a part of this, showing an acceptability of 83.33%. No dropouts were noted in the 10-day period of yoga intervention, showing a high acceptability of yoga as a treatment option. Kapalbhati practice was shown to aggravate abdominal cramps, thus was removed from the final yoga module. Out of the 12 scales done pre and post intervention, 10 scales showed significant improvement at day 10. These 10 scales included clinical opioid withdrawal scale, Hamilton anxiety scale, Hamilton depression scale, CGI severity, craving, pain, sleep latency, constipation, and to monitor the efficacy of yoga on day 0 to day 10, a yoga performance assessment. Significant increase in the dosage of buprenorphine was also not noted, and the same is shown on the graph on the right side, with all scales showing a downward trend in severity, which is a positive indicator for opioid dependence recovery. From this before and after open label trial, we conclude that yoga is a feasible and acceptable treatment option for opioid dependence syndrome, thus highlighting the importance of an individualized approach to each patient and not harboring on the importance only of pharmacotherapy. Mild stages of opioid withdrawal may actually be treated by yoga, as well as patients on OST who have residual subsyndromal symptoms may benefit with adjuvant yoga treatment. The future direction includes replicating this study in a larger sample size with a longitudinal follow-up and a more representative population sample, not limited just to inpatients. Use of biological parameters like plasma beta endorphin and fMRI for highlighting the underpinnings of biological basis of yoga-related improvement. Using more objective clinical assessments like physiological pain threshold and visual analog scale may provide more external validity to the study findings. Thank you.
Our next participant is Archana Maurya from the University of Patanjali. She'll be talking about impact of yoga in combating anxiety, aggression, and mental well-being in students due to COVID-19.
Myself Archana Maurya, PhD scholar, University of Patanjali, Haridwar. My topic is impact of yoga in combating anxiety, aggression, and mental well-being in students due to COVID-19. बैकग्राउंड, अभी ये जो कोरोना काल का टाइम चल रहा है, इसमें एंजाइटी एग्रेशन जो है वो मेजर प्रॉब्लम्स के रूप में हमारे सामने आ रहा है। तो इससे क्या है, फैमिली के साथ और अन्य लोगों के साथ भी एडजस्टमेंट करने में प्रॉब्लम्स क्रिएट हो रही हैं। स्पेशली यूथ एंड यूनिवर्सिटी यूजी और पीजी स्टूडेंट्स में भी काफ़ी देखने को मिल रहा है। तो इसको हम योग के माध्यम से इम्प्रूव कर सकते हैं। The aim to see the impact of yoga therapy in the prevention of the psychosocial symptoms of COVID-19 such as anxiety, aggression and mental well-being in students. Methodology, हमने इसमें 300 ग्रेजुएट एंड पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट स्टूडेंट्स को लिया जिसमें मेल एंड फीमेल दोनों थे। हमने उन स्टूडेंट्स को लिया जो एंजाइटी एग्रेशन से सफ़र कर रहे थे और मेंटल वेलबींग में जो है कमी महसूस कर रहे थे। एक्सपेरिमेंटल डिजाइन था, इसमें हमने 2 ग्रुप बनाए, एक कंट्रोल दूसरा एक्सपेरिमेंटल ग्रुप। कंट्रोल ग्रुप को हमने कहा कि आप 20 मिनट रेगुलर मॉर्निंग वॉक कीजिए। एक्सपेरिमेंटल ग्रुप को हमने 20 मिनट रेगुलर मॉर्निंग में टेलीयोगा प्रैक्टिस करवाया जिसमें कपालभाति, अनुलोम विलोम, ओम चैंटिंग और जल नीति शामिल थे। आफ्टर 4 वीक्स टेलीयोगा प्रैक्टिस में कपालभाति, अनुलोम विलोम, ओम चैंटिंग और जल नीति के अभ्यास से हमें देखने को मिला है कि एंजाइटी एग्रेशन जो है वो डिक्रीज हो रहा है और मेंटल वेलबींग जो है वो इंक्रीज हुआ है। रिजल्ट को देखते हुए कंक्लूजन में हमें कह सकते हैं कि कपालभाति, अनुलोम विलोम, ओम चैंटिंग और जल नीति जो है वह एंजाइटी एग्रेशन को डिक्रीज करने और मेंटल वेलबींग को इंक्रीज करने में हेल्पफुल हो सकता है। थैंक यू।
Our next participant is Sakeb Malipedi from NIMHANS. His study is titled Effects of Practice of Isha Yoga on Brain EEG Dynamics.
Effects of the practice of Isha Yoga on the brain EEG dynamics. I'm a PhD scholar at NIMHANS. Humanity is going through a lot of challenges like the COVID-19 pandemic. Also, chronic diseases and mental health issues have risen dramatically. In this scenario, yogic practices like Isha Yoga prove beneficial and improve well-being. However, the underlying brain mechanisms that link Isha Yoga with well-being are not known. So this study tries to assess the effect of practice of Isha Yoga on brain using EEG. The methodology followed was subjects were recruited from Isha Yoga centers in Bangalore, advanced meditators, novice meditators, controls, and the EEG was recorded on them using 128 channel SensorNet. The data was cleaned using PrEP pipeline in the EEG lab, and the 5 minutes of, as shown in the figure, 5 minutes of pranayam, which is Sukha Kriya, and 10 minutes of Shambhavi Mudra data were compared across the 3 groups. So what we found was that there was a statistically significant difference, p less than 0.05, between the 3 groups. This was corrected for multiple comparisons using FDR. For pranayam, the power spectral differences were found in the theta range, which is 6 to 8 hertz, in the regions frontal, midline, and occipital, as shown in the figure. And in each red dot in the figure indicates the region where significant differences were found between the groups. And as we can see, the significant differences were found at 6 to 8 hertz, 30 to 40 hertz for pranayam, and for Shambhavi Mudra, 6 to 8 hertz and 30 to 40 hertz in the respective regions which are mentioned. So to conclude, significant differences were found between the groups in the frontal midline region and the occipital regions. Source localization studies show that ACC generates frontal midline theta, and that is involved in cognitive control, self-regulation, and it has a central autonomic role. Increase in frontal midline theta power during pranayam indicates vagal tone, which leads to sense of calmness and relaxation, which is found when one practices pranayam. Increase in gamma power, which is observed during pranayam and Shambhavi Mudra, indicate a high degree of attentional control, which is required, to practice meditation. And it also indicates high degree of self-regulation and brain-wide synchronization. Thus, this study shows that practice of Isha Yoga leads to a higher sense of well-being and cognitive control. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present here.
Our next participant is Dr. Chaube Shivaji from Central University of Rajasthan and S. Vyasa Yoga University. His study is titled Effect of Yoga and Ayurvedic Herbal Medicine on Psychological Health Among Elderly Adults.
Namaste, myself Dr. Shivaji, Assistant Professor, Central University of Rajasthan, Ajmer. I am presenting my poster on a study, The Effect of Yoga and Ayurvedic Herbal Medicine on Psychological Health Among Elderly Adults. Background: mental health problems among elderly are undertreated and its prevalence is approximately 15%. The present study is intended to assess the effect of yoga and Ayurvedic herbal medicine for psychological health among the elderly adults. Methodology: it is a age, sex, education matched control study. We included 48 participants in the study. Participants received either yoga therapy or Ayurvedic herbal medicine for 8 weeks. Yoga therapy group received the yoga practices for 1 hour, 5 days per week, and Ayurveda group received a Brahmi Grat 5 ml daily once in the morning during study period. We assessed the participants for depression, anxiety, stress, and quality of sleep before and after the study. Results of the study: in within group comparison, both the groups showed significant improvement in geriatric depression scale, Hamilton's anxiety rating scale, perceived stress scale, and Pittsburgh sleep quality index after 8 weeks. Whereas in between group comparison, yoga therapy group was highly significant than Ayurveda group after 8 weeks of the intervention in all the psychological variables. Results are shown in the table 1 and table 2. Demographics details are shown in the table 1 and within and between group comparisons are shown in the table 2. Conclusion of the study: both the interventions, yoga therapy and Ayurveda herbal medicine, that is Brahmi Grahata interventions, have positive effect in improving psychological health among elderly adults. But compared to the Ayurveda herbal medicine, that is Brahmi Grahata, yoga therapy is more effective for enhancing the psychological health. Further studies with robust methodology are needed for confirmation of these study results.
Our next participant is Rohini Dema from the University of Patanjali. Study is titled Randomized Control Trial of Yogic Gut Aeration Technique in Helicobacter pylori induced acid peptic disease.
Pranam to one and all. I am Rohini Daima, PhD scholar from University of Patanjali. My topic for poster presentation is Randomized Control Trial of Yogic Gut Aeration Technique in Helicobacter pylori induced acid peptic disease. Acid peptic diseases are the result of distinctive pathogenic mechanism leading to damage of mucosal lining of GI tract either due to excessive acid secretion or diminished mucosal defense. H. pylori infection is the most common cause of acid peptic diseases affecting 20 billion Indians and 50% of world population. H. pylori is a spiral-shaped gram-negative microaerophilic bacteria which requires very small amount of oxygen for its survival, and if it gets exposed to the large amount of oxygen, it dies. Hence, aeration of the gut has been proposed and most effective way to inhibit H. pylori. Yogic gut aeration technique helps to aerate the gut, which includes Manduki Mudra to lubricate GI tract, Kaki Mudra for air ingestion, and series of inverted posture helps ingested air to maneuver towards the pylori region of the stomach where this bacteria resides. Aim of this study is to determine the effect of yogic gut aeration technique on gastrointestinal health, quality of life, and level of stress in patient with H. pylori induced acid peptic disease. Methodology: patient who underwent endoscopy were assessed for the eligibility. Total number total number of 40 patients were assessed for the eligibility, out of which 18 were excluded as they were not meeting inclusion criteria. Total 22 participants were randomly allocated into intervention and control group. 12 participants of intervention group were given yogic gut aeration technique for the duration of 2 months, while 10 participants of the control group continued treatment as usual. Follow-up: 4 discontinued intervention from the intervention group, and follow-up of 2 participants from the control group was lost. Analysis: assessment were done on baseline and after 2 months using 3 questionnaire: gastrointestinal symptom rating scale GSRS, quality of life reflux and disease QOLRAD, and stress indicator questionnaire SIQ. Results: the difference between post and pre-values were calculated for each variable. Normality of the data was tested using Shapiro-Wilk test. Quality of life, reflux and disease, personal habit and sleep indicator of SIQ were normally distributed, hence independent t-test was performed, while GSRS, emotional indicator of SIQ, were not normally distributed, hence Mann-Whitney U-test was performed. The results show a significant improvement in quality of life, reduction in GI symptoms, improvement in quality of sleep, involvement in personal habit as compared to control group. The level of management of emotion showed a trend of improvement equal to 0.05. The physical and behavioral indicator of SIQ showed no significant improvement, hence not mentioned in the table. The data was analyzed using IBM SPSS Statistics 16. Conclusion: yogic gut aeration technique is a simple, convenient and costless alternative. Inhibition of GI symptoms indicate eradication of H. pylori infection, but for confirmation of the same, post H. pylori test need to be conducted, for which more clinical trials are required. Thank you.
Our next participant is Dr. Sumana V. from NIMHANS. A study is titled Immediate Effect of Yoga and Exercise on Beta Endorphin Levels in Opioid-Dependent Individuals, a randomized controlled pilot study.
Namaste, I'm Dr. Sumana. I'm a BNYS graduate with MD in Clinical Yoga. The title of my poster is Immediate Effect of Yoga and Exercise on Beta Endorphin Levels in Opioid-Dependent Individuals, a randomized controlled pilot study. As we know, opioid dependence has become a major health concern with higher mortality rates. Though the opioid substitution therapy are found effective, researchers show that the chances of relapse are quite high and they are very costly too. Studies show that yoga or exercise for sufficient intensity and duration can lead to increase in beta endorphin levels. Therefore, in this study, we try to assess whether yoga would be helpful in enhancing endogenous opioids so that the dependence on exogenous opioids can come down. Therefore, we could not find any study which measured endorphin levels in opioid patients or in healthy subjects immediately after yoga. So, with these objectives, we recruited 20 subjects who were suffering from opioid dependence. We excluded people from other substance abuse apart from opioid and nicotine, those with intractable pain due to other causes like malignancies, and those with severe withdrawal symptoms or with any severe comorbid psychiatric or neurological illnesses. Subjects received orientation for 3 days and then 5 ml of blood was collected in the morning 8 a.m. before breakfast or taking any medications, and then they performed a validated yoga module for 1 hour or exercise for 1 hour. This 1 hour of validated yoga module included some of the loosening practices, 8 rounds of Surya Namaskaras, some set of asanas, gentle breathing practices and chanting of Omkara. This module was practiced by the opioid subjects as well as the healthy controls. Whereas the exercise group received 1 hour of treadmill walk at the speed of 4 for 15 minutes in 3 sets. We found that the baseline demographic details were comparable across all 3 groups as shown in the table 1. The results actually showed that opioid patient had a significantly higher levels of endorphins than the healthy subjects. Endorphin levels were abnormally high in opioid patients, and when they practiced yoga or exercise, there was a tendency for endorphin levels to come down after the intervention. Whereas you can see in the figure 3, when the opioid patients and healthy subjects were compared with the yoga intervention, the endorphin levels actually increased significantly in healthy subjects immediately after yoga. But there was a tendency to reduce in opioid patients. So we can conclude that yoga modulates the endorphin levels, which brings increase in healthy subjects, whereas it brings the abnormally high levels of endorphins in opioid patients to come down towards those of healthy. There is an interaction between buprenorphine and opioid dependence in the literature, so that also needs to be considered in justifying these results. Therefore, this is the first study of its kind which reports the acute effects of yoga on endorphin levels in healthy subjects or in opioid patients. Thank you very much.
Our next participant is Shubham Sharma from Mangalore University. We'll be talking about the study titled Life Satisfaction and Perceived Stress as Predictors of Vedic Personality Types.
Hello everyone, this is Shubham Sharma. My topic in poster presentation is life satisfaction and perceived stress as predictors of Vedic personality types. This is actually my thesis of MSc work. In ancient yogic texts such as Bhagavad Gita, mention about three gunas. These three gunas are the fundamental attributes of the mind. They are called as Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Rajas is driving mind towards activity, making it more impulsive. There is agitation and frustration in the mind. And Tamas is exactly opposite to the Rajas, which is dullness of the mind, laziness and making it deluded at the end. On the other hand, Sattva is the quality of equanimity, illumination, balance in the mind, and there is cognitive flexibility. We could not find in our literature search the relation between psychological stress, life satisfaction, and gunas. We made an objective to find the relationship between these variables. We studied 121 subjects from the Mangalore University, including staffs and students. We included the subjects who scored less than 3 in the GHQ and excluded comorbid psychiatric and physical illness. Validated tools were used to assess these variables. We ran a Pearson two-tailed correlation test. We found that there is inverse relationship between Sattva with Rajas and Tamas. We also found, according to our hypothesis, that there is negative correlation of Sattva with perceived stress and general health, and also there is positive correlation with satisfaction in life. Rajas showed the positive correlation with perceived stress and also positive correlation with general health, as well as it has shown that negative correlation with the satisfaction in life. Tamas also showed the positive correlation with the perceived stress as well as negative correlation with the life satisfaction. Tamas also has shown that there is maximum stress level than the Rajas.
For the other two judges,
I would like to conclude that Sattvic attributes were associated with higher life satisfaction and lower stress level. Both Rajas and Tamas were associated with higher stress levels and lower life satisfaction. Future studies should assess whether Sattvic intervention as a lifestyle could enhance the life satisfaction and reduce stress, and also should assess whether it reduces the stress in the patient who are suffering from higher stress levels.
Our next participant is Mrs. Krupa from NIMHANS. Her study is titled Yoga Intervention for Substance Use Disorders, a Systematic Review.
Myself, Krupa. I'll be presenting a systematic review on yoga intervention for substance use disorders. Moving on to background of the study, There is an increase in research and systematic literature reviews summarizing the effects of yoga and mind body practices on both physiological and psychological health of individuals. Many studies have encapsulated that these therapeutic interventions help in reducing stress and underlying neuroendocrine components. And one such approach that has received increasing attention involves mind body practices such as yoga and meditation. The number of people practicing different forms of yoga is growing in a big way, which could be because of scientific community is slowly beginning to recognize the depth and dimension of those methods of yoga. Coming to aim of the study to review various methods of yoga and other mind body practices as an adjunct therapeutic intervention in substance use disorder and the outcome of such measures. Moving on to the methodology, the scope of this review is restricted to the studies appearing in research journals with the focus of yoga or yoga based techniques as an urgent intervention for the treatment of alcohol and substance use disorder. Process of the systematic review has been added in the poster. Results of the study. Majority of the studies were randomized controlled trials 27 and rest were experimental designs with or without control groups. Western studies reviewed were 23 from USA, China and Greece and other European countries and other 17 studies were from India. Outcome of the studies were has been added in the poster. Thoughts of conclusion of the study. Majority of the Indian studies applied Surya Namaskara, Pranayama, Asana, Sudarshana Kriya Yoga, Astanga Yoga, Hatha Yoga, Raja Yoga for alcohol and substance use disorder. The Western studies combined asanas and pranayama, aerobic and resistance, mindfulness and spirituality as a mode of treatment. Long-term practice of yoga and meditation emerges as potential meditators in the complementary treatment of addiction management, prevention and recovery. Moving on to limitations of the study, majority of the studies did not feature the talented instructor or appropriate training of mentors. Quite a few number of studies did not specify the time of reliance and pertinence of the explicitness of yoga intercession. Cross-reference may have given more number of studies which couldn't have been consolidated. Rest of the limitations has been presented in the poster and thank you for listening.
We come to our penultimate presentation by Praveen Angadi from NIMHANS. The topic is Yoga and Meditation on Chronic Drug-Resistant Epilepsy.
Title of the study: Yoga and Meditation on Seizure Frequency and Duration. This is DST Satyam, Government of India funded project. I am Dr. Praveen Angadi, working as Senior Research Fellow under the Department of Neurosurgery, NIMHANS, Bengaluru. Background: more than 70 million on this planet are suffering with the epilepsy. They have poor socio-economic background and social stigma. Seizure frequency and duration differ person to person. In this study, we are aiming at the reduction in the seizure frequency and duration with the effect of yoga and meditation. Methods: of 90, 70 patients recruited and randomized half to intervention and waitlist group. Out of 35, 32 patients received 12 supervised yoga therapy sessions and asked to practice at home for 3 to 9 months before surgery. Most of them, ranging from 30 to 90 minutes, practiced 1 to 2 times in their own pace and interest. Of 32, 12 people liked Surya Namaskara, the sun salutations, 6 people liked Pranayama, Yoga Nidra, meditation and almost all the practices. Rest didn't specify. Results include alleviation of the stress, mental calmness, reduced anger and the body weight, increased physical activity and energy levels, improved memory and gait. Of all, important is 20 out of 32 experienced reduction in seizure frequency and duration who practiced yoga regularly. With this, we can conclude that yoga and meditation can be used as an add-on treatment option to the conventional treatment methodology for reduction of the seizure frequency and duration. These are my references. Thank you.
We come to the last presentation for the poster session. That is by Sakshi Sharma from the University of Patanjali. She'll be talking about comparing wellness profile among yoga and non-yoga practicing higher education girls.
Namaste to all. I am Sakshi Sharma, PhD scholar from University of Patanjali, presenting my study entitled Comparing Wellness Profile Among Yoga and Non-Yoga Practicing Higher Education Girls. Coming to the second slide, which includes background, aim and methodology which determines wellness is the important motive to attract interest from different disciplines. Wellness contains the integration of physical, mental, social, emotional and spiritual conceptualization which can be attained by yoga, as yoga is an art of self-realization and life management. According to Iyengar, yoga is an ancient discipline designed to bring balance among health to the physical, mental, emotional and spiritual well-being of an individual. So this study aims to compare the wellness profile between yoga and non-yoga practicing higher education girls and to assess the effect of yoga on wellness profile of higher education girls. So in this retrospective cross-sectional design, 50 each yoga and non-yoga practicing girls were randomly sampled. The yoga group participants were MA/MSc Yoga final year students of academic session 2017-19 which was run from University of Patanjali, whereas non-yoga participants were MA/MSc final year students of Saraswati Mahila College, Palwal. All healthy girls aged between 21 to 30 years were included to the study. Yoga group practicing yoga since last 2 years according to design syllabus of MA/MSc which contains cleansing techniques, postures, pranayama, joint mobilization exercises, mudra and bandha, chanting and meditation. So result indicates that the wellness profile of yoga practicing girls is better than the non-yoga practicing girls when measured on questionnaire developed by Insel and Roth containing 36 questions in 8 dimensions that is showed in the table in this third slide. So yoga is a useful supplement to traditional medicine when integrated as part of holistic health routine. Some previous studies also state that yoga is effective tool to improve wellness as found by Tripathi in 2013 and Greenan and Raikkonen in 2015. So this study showed regular yoga practice creates mental clarity and calmness, increased body awareness, balanced emotional health and corrects lifestyle behavior in college girls. But future research is needed in order to compare the wellness among boys also. Thank you.
So this is the end of our poster presentation sessions. I thank all the participants who shared the posters with us. I thank our esteemed judges, but because it is the last session, and I would like our judges to give some inputs and share their experiences and tell us something.
It was a nice experience. And all the presentations, almost all the presentations were very good. All the posters were very good, but a lot of methodological issues. As I'm a statistician, I could notice a lot of methodological issues like applying wrong test for independent groups, test for paired was used, and some kind of thing. The methodological issues need to be taken care in almost all the papers. That is my suggestion. Otherwise, we had a tough time in finalizing 3. All of them had scored very well. The others will share their opinion.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ramjayam sir, Gurudev sir.
Yeah, I think madam has told rightly. In fact, the first and second also we had tough time to decide, and the second runners are also the same thing. In fact, some of the posters we also felt it's worth for oral presentation, but in fact oral also was too good, so I think so they were placed here. We also enjoyed actually evaluating most of the things. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Gurudev sir.
Yes, it was very nice to hear so many things. And now
sir, I'm sorry, your voice is not very clear. Yeah.
Hello, madam. Can you hear?
Yes, sir. It's absolutely clear now.
Actually, there were some studies very nice that hardcore science also now using assessment tools to explore in yoga. So not only on the asked subject, there are multi other subjects which are being taken into a study. So it is now very good attempts from the different sides to explore scientific application of yogic practices in this domain. So it is very good attempt. Thank you for all of you for inviting in this very good presentation.
It's entirely our pleasure, sir.
My colleagues after a long time in Corona this period.
Right, sir. Right.
And big team is there in Nimhans. So they have taken up so many things.
Yes, sir. It's all about a teamwork. And thank you so much for being with us, sir. And thank you so much for sparing your valuable time in this poster session every day. And I'm sure all the participants who have logged in now, they can actually take care of their methodology part and actually be more particular about the statistics that they're actually applying for the studies. And this will give some insight to them also for their future presentations and for our future presentations anywhere also. So it was a great learning experience. Thank you so much. Sir, before we'll have, there is in the setting, we are having some alternative setup to just shift the responsibility to today's master of ceremony. Till that time, sir, Mariamma ma'am and Ramjayam sir, we'll request you to wait for a while. We'll probably play our NICE video once more, and then we'll go ahead with the further presentations. But we would sincerely request you to wait for a while.
Sure.
We would just like to felicitate all our judges. So we just hold on till the boardroom comes on to play. So request all 3 of you to please be on for a few minutes till we can get back. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Aarti ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Swami Vivekananda Yoga Anusandhana Samsthana SVYASA is a UGC recognized deemed university working for making yoga as a socially relevant science based on the teachings of Swami Vivekananda. Nimhans Integrated Center for Yoga, NICY. As part of NICY, various activities are conducted continuously. Clinical services, training, information, education and communication, and research. The patients are referred with referral letter from their respective treating team. At the NICY, they are evaluated in detail by the doctors initially. After confirming their fitness to practice yoga, they are allotted to a particular yoga session batch depending on their diagnosis. Yoga card is issued to them which contains their demographic details along with diagnosis, therapist name, session timings, instructions for sessions and attendance. All patients receive individual counseling and orientation to the practices before joining group yoga practices. The sessions are taken by a well-trained yoga therapist. Apart from patients, caregivers of patients are also given yoga therapy which helps to reduce their stress. All the patients, caregivers undergoing yoga therapy are assessed on weekly basis till 1 to 2 months of practice to look into feasibility, benefits and side effects of yoga. At the end of the yoga training, they are given the yoga module, either hard copy or soft copy, to help them practice at home. They are also advised to come for booster sessions when they come for their clinical follow-up. Effective yoga modules are designed for various psychiatric and neurological disorders using traditional yoga literature as well as modern methods of validation. Our thrust in last 4 to 5 years has been to come out with generic yoga modules for various neuropsychiatric disorders. This concept has been brought forth by us to promote standardization and scientific growth of yoga as therapy. At present, we have scientifically validated and tested generic yoga modules for following disorders: depression, schizophrenia, obsessive compulsive disorder, mild cognitive impairment, Parkinson's disease, and somatoform pain disorder. We are in the process of validating the modules for substance use disorder, anxiety, and migraine. NICY has provided
A very good afternoon, everyone. I really apologize for the technical glitches that we were facing. Thank you, Sanchari. Thank you, the judges, for waiting for so long. And the poster presentation has come to an end. So to felicitate our judges, I would request Dr. Aarti Jagannathan to please felicitate Dr. Mariama Philip. Madam, please.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This is all E, and I think Sanchari will show the memento that we're going to be giving you, but it will reach out to you. That's the memento for you, ma'am. Thank you so much for being a part of the team, for being so active with us. And I know we can always, the yoga team always feels that you're part of us. Thank you so much, ma'am. That's for you. It will reach you in your office, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll be sending it over to you.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Now I would request Dr. Shiv Kumar to kindly felicitate Dr. Ramjayam. Sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Ramjayam. Thanks for being the judge for the posters. And it was wonderful having you in this Yantra conference for all these days. Thank you very much.
I would also request Dr. Shiv Kumar to felicitate Dr. Guru Dio. Thanks, sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Guru. Thank you very much. Your assessments of the really helpful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, judges. These mementos will be reaching to you soon. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much.
It's a great pleasure having you here, sir.